top-10 receiver going into the future. He has the most yards in the league right now, sitting at 963, a nice 69 receptions, 14 yards per catch, and then 3 touchdowns. Touchdowns a little bit low, but he's a very, very good receiver. Touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, like the stats are one thing, but like if you're clearly there and like reliable for making a difference for the team, like that's all you need, really.
Yeah, and I mean, compared to a lot of other receivers with really high yardages, he doesn't have the QB play that he probably has one of the worst starting QBs in the league with Alex Smith, and then I think Dwayne Haskins started a couple games at the beginning of the year. And just imagine how tough that must be for like Terry McLaurin to not know who like the real starting quarterback is, and he's just like. He's playing with like a makeshift.
Yeah, as we just said, it is very, very tough. Like if you have to go back and forth every week, it's like it definitely kind of cramps your own style, your own comfortability with your own team.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Next is the only other guy above 900 yards, Stephon Diggs. Got traded this offseason to the Bills. He looked really good on the Vikings. He was definitely a top 10 receiver on the Vikings, but he made that leap to a top 5 receiver now that he's the number 1 option on the Bills because he was, I believe he was the number 2 option under Adam Thielen on the Vikings, and now he's the number 1 guy for the Bills, and he's showing out 906 yards, 73 receptions, 13 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns for him.
He's keeping everybody on his toes with those cleats too.
Exactly. Next, I'm going to go with a guy who doesn't have maybe the yardage, but insane player. I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. Always one of the best receivers in the league.
And he's in a tough situation too.
No, Herbert's playing really well this year.
Oh, Keenan Allen? Oh, with the Chargers?
Yeah, with the Chargers. I mean, he is the most receptions in the league by like 10 or so receptions. He has 81 receptions. He's so reliable for Justin Herbert, the rookie. He's like being that pair of sure hands.
I haven't been following the Chargers that much. Yeah, they look a lot better.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's having a really good, almost Pro Bowl-esque year for a rookie. Justin Herbert looks incredible. Keenan Allen is his favorite target, as you can clearly see. His yards per attempt aren't great, but his yards per catch aren't great, but 81 receptions just speaks for itself. 6 touchdowns. Excellent player.
16 receptions for 145 yards last week versus the Jets. Quite something there.
Even though it's against the Jets, still impressive.
Yeah. 16 and 3 and 9 in the game, 2 games before that is really definitely something. Yeah, you're going to see, must have been the Jets there. 16. All right, what's next?
This next one is pretty tough. I had a bunch of guys that in contention. I was thinking about DK Metcalf, Robbie Anderson, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, Tyreek Hill. They're even throwing like maybe Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore, Will Fuller. All these guys are deserving guys. Definitely.
Kind of the same tier?
Kind of like the same tier of players. I think these 4 stick out, and then there's a bunch of players just right under those 4, and it's kind of tough to pick 2. Justin Jefferson, I'm not going to select him just because of 45 receptions. He has 19 yards per catch. He has 848 yards, but 45 receptions just isn't really doing it for me. Not reliable enough. Will Fuller, same thing, 53 receptions. DJ Moore, same thing, 46 receptions.
Yeah, Keenan Allen had 81.
Yeah, I think receptions are really, really important, more so than yards.
Because it's like how reliable you are, how often your quarterback feels comfortable going to you.
Exactly. I think having a guy who you can throw to for 10 yards every play is more valuable than a guy you just throw it up to.
Yeah. That's what really makes a difference. So those yards, they do add up for sure.
Exactly. And those deep threats are very important. I put a little bit more value for those guys who rack up catches. So I'm going to go with Devontae Adams, 68 catches, 10 touchdowns, 847 yards, 13 yards per catch. Excellent player, top 3, top 2 receiver for sure. He's so good. He's so good. But again, this year I think he's just a tier below the other guys. But I definitely do think that overall, like considering like the past couple of years, he is a top 3 receiver. With my last pick, I'm going to go with DK Metcalf. Even though I said that I like guys who catch more passes and maybe not have like the best like yards per catch, I'm going to go with DK simply because the 9 touchdowns is just that's a lot of touchdowns. And he's very, very reliable for Russell Wilson. And he's consistent. 862 yards, 48 receptions, 18 yards per attempt, and 9 touchdowns. And I just like to see like new guys sort of in the Pro Bowl. So I mean, I think it'd be cool to get DK Metcalf in there rather than somebody like Tyreek Hill. I don't know who put up very, very similar stats. And it's kind of a toss up for me between like Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, and DK Metcalf. And maybe Robbie Anderson is sort of in that conversation. But I just think I think it'd be really cool to see Robbie Anderson in the Pro Bowl too, ex-Jet, having a career year.
Mm-hmm. The Seahawks have had a pretty impressive kind of like resurgence of late. So
DK is just electric. It's like he's a really fun guy to watch, and I'm gonna. Pro Bowl
I think the league's better like when the Seahawks are gonna get fun, like they were like Richard Sherman, like the Legion of Boom. But now on the other side with the electric receivers they got,
Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, probably one of the best combos in the league.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So to re-go over my picks: Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, and Keenan Allen are my 6 picks for receiver.
All right.
Fullback, probably. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to skip that.
Okay. It's fine. We do that. We go fast, rapid fire through predictions. So
yeah.
That's cool.
So now we're on to tight ends. And I think the easiest pick is Travis Kelce. Oh, man. 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, 66 receptions. Best tight end by a mile. And then there's nothing more I can say. He just is the best tight end by a mile. And if you don't think so, you're wrong.
Yeah, there does seem to be a pretty strong consensus on what he's been able to do, for sure.
George Kittle been hurt this year, mostly. So I really like George Kittle. I think he's an excellent run blocker in addition to being a really good pass catcher. But obviously can't vote him in the Pro Bowl this year because he just hasn't played enough games. So my second pick is going to be Darren Waller, the number 1 receiving option for the Raiders offense. 60 receptions, 519 yards, 5 touchdowns, 9 yards per catch. Excellent player. And he brings a nice aspect of speed to that tight end addition that Travis Kelce doesn't really have. Darren Waller definitely is a little. He's not like overly fast. Like I wouldn't put him in the George Kittle category of like speed, but he does run a little bit. I think he played wide receiver at a certain. I don't know. Don't fact check me on that one. My third pick is going to be T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, if you watched the primetime game on Thanksgiving, he really was the number 1 option for that team with Kenny Galladay out. He is so good. He's so athletic. This isn't going to show up in the stats, but. One Thanksgiving play, it was like a tight end screen pass, which not a lot of teams run. Like you have to have a lot of faith in your tight end to run a tight end screen pass. It was a pretty bad throw by Matthew Stafford, and T.J. Hawkinson just laid out, dived for the ball, caught it, and then got up and proceeded to run for 15 yards. Like. His athleticism is unmatched. I think he's the most athletic tight end and there's a reason he was drafted with the 8th pick. Just
that is some pretty important stuff. When whoever the new coach they get is going to be, they definitely will probably want to. They'll be holding on tight to T.J. Hawkinson there for sure.
Exactly, and it's not often you see a second-year tight end be as good as he is, but he is really good. Next, let's go with Mark Andrews. 6 touchdowns, 38 catches, 12 yards per attempt, 454 yards. Really, really good. He's kind of like the red zone option for Lamar Jackson. I think he's the best receiving option on the Ravens by easily. I don't like Marquise Brown that much or any of those other guys. I think Lamar Jackson's only really good receiving option is Mark Andrews. And I mean, he's playing well. Easily deserves a Pro Bowl vote, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting to see kind of it is kind of fun, but I do feel like the Pro Bowl, in terms of all the major sports, they really the NFL doesn't really value a lot with their All-Star game, but it kind of sucks because there aren't a lot of individual performances that don't always get picked up by the casual fans.
Yeah.
All right, so
next I'm gonna go with another 2019 first-round tight end in Noah Fant. I think he's another really speedy tight end. I would go as far to say he is the second fastest tight end, I think, behind George Kittle. Good blocker, not as good as Hawkinson, but definitely a good blocker. Not as good as Hawkinson or Kittle, but definitely a good blocker. And I think I forgot to mention that with Hawkinson. He's an excellent blocker, which only helps his case. Noah Fant is a decent blocker. 422 yards, 39 receptions, 11 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns for him. And just he adds that versatility of being able to block and being somewhat of a speedster. He gives the Broncos offense much more versatility than a guy like, for example, Gronk would, who doesn't have that speed, doesn't have that blocking ability as much. I mean, Gronk can block, but he doesn't have that ability as much. So, yeah,
not as physical,
not as versatile, not as physical. And then my last pick, I'm going to go with Hunter Henry. 435 yards, 41 catches, 11 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. He's been injury prone throughout his career. This year, though, he's really settled down and had a pretty good year so far. Pretty solid. I don't think he's just in a normal year he'd be deserving of a Pro Bowl, but there aren't really that many really good tight ends this year. So I'm sort of just gonna throw him in there because I think he's the most deserving out of the rest. Him and Noah Fant. I think again there's four really deserving guys, and then Hunter Henry and Noah Fant are the best of the rest.
Yeah, there's definitely an interesting kind of you do get a sense there's tier systems, and there's definitely kind of that you can kind of put different guys at relatively the same kind of level, and I do think that has a lot to do with, especially when you get to the less quote unquote important positions, with the other circumstances that they're happening on the respective teams there, which is interesting. All right, so we are getting down there in terms of the votes left. We got the defense, and then, of course, Bennett can tell us right now, the offensive line. Who got for the?
We're going to try to move through the offensive line quickly for time purposes. So we're going to go Bakhtiari. Not much needs to be said there. Best offensive tackle in the league, has been for a little while. Mekhi Becton, rookie, doing incredibly well for the Jets. He's just huge, fast, everything you could want in a tackle, having a really good first year. Next, we're going to go with Orlando Brown, a great tackle for the Ravens, having a really good year. Next, we're going to go with Ryan Ramczyk, opposite Teron Armstead in that Saints offensive line. He's truly a great offensive tackle. And then speaking of Teron Armstead, we're going to